Hello, everyone. Today's topic is 10 Dark Secrets of America That Few People Dare to Mention. Part 1. The Shadows Behind the Glory. America, a country praised as the land of the free, the paradise of opportunity, where people can rise from nothing. But perhaps because the light is so bright, many people do not see the shadows lurking behind. In this video, we will delve into the secrets that America does not want you to know, the truths that are sometimes hidden, sometimes ignored, and sometimes distorted beyond recognition. And here's the first thing. 1. Experimenting on its own citizens, the Tuskegee Project. You may have heard of other countries conducting inhumane medical experiments, but few people know that the United States itself, for more than 40 years, secretly conducted a horrifying medical experiment on its own citizens. From 1932 to 1972, the U.S. government, under the guise of healthcare, secretly conducted an experiment called the Tuskegee Study on more than 600 poor black men living in the state of Alabama. These people were infected with syphilis, but were not treated. The purpose was to monitor the natural progression of the disease. Even though penicillin had been available since the 1940s, a drug that could cure syphilis, they were still not treated. They were promised free treatment and medical care. But in reality, they were living test subjects. Many of them died, suffered serious complications, and worse, they infected their wives and children without even knowing it. The incident was only exposed in 1972, shocking the entire United States. And then, after many official apologies, things gradually calmed down. But the painful memories are still fresh, especially in the Black community, those who were once considered experimental subjects. 2. Iraq War. The truth is distorted. In 2003, the United States dragged the whole world into a war with Iraq based on the reason Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction. The story was broadcast throughout the major media, emphasized by President Bush and approved by the U.S. Congress. But in the end, the weapons did not exist. The war left hundreds of thousands of people dead, a country thrown into chaos, and the U.S. found nothing but oil, political interests, and a stain on the history of military intervention. Declassified documents later showed that many U.S. intelligence agencies doubted the authenticity of the information from the beginning. But political pressure and interests pushed the truth aside. Many U.S. veterans returned from Iraq with psychological trauma, while Iraqis had to live with bombs, chaos, and a devastated country. So who won? 3. Private prisons, when justice is turned into a business. In the U.S., there is a scary thing that very few people know. There are prisons that do not belong to the government, but belong to private companies. That is, these companies make money from imprisoning people. It sounds unbelievable, but this is a painful reality. Companies that operate private prisons will be paid according to the number of prisoners they hold. And as a natural consequence, the more people are arrested, the more money flows into their pockets. This has led to a series of harsh penal policies, especially for communities of color and the poor. Some people are arrested for petty crimes, like possessing a small amount of marijuana, but spend many years in prison. The longer they stay, the more profit the prison management companies make. There have been many cases of judges being caught accepting bribes from private prison companies to direct increased juvenile incarceration. A system that is supposed to represent justice is now driven by profit. End of part 1. These 3 stories are just the tip of the iceberg. The America we see in movies and television may be very different from the truth that is hidden. In the next part, we will talk about even more terrible secrets, from mind control programs to the suppression of the civil rights movement and intelligence conspiracies that the American people themselves are not allowed to know. Topic: 10 Dark Secrets of America That Few Dare to Mention. Part 2. Power Games and the Phantom of Control. In the previous part, we went through 3 chilling slices of the picture of modern America, from inhumane experiments on Black people to a war built on lies and a prison system that turns justice into a money mine. But that's not the end of the darkness. In this part, we will go deeper into areas where the light rarely reaches, where the government, secret agencies, and powerful corporations secretly manipulate not only the country, but also the people's perceptions. 4. Project MKUltra. When the CIA experimented with mind control. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie, but MKUltra is a completely real program. In fact, it existed for decades before being exposed. Starting in the early 1950s, the CIA secretly launched a top-secret program called MKUltra with the goal of finding a way to control human will and behavior. Experiments were conducted on thousands of people, many of whom did not know they were test subjects. They were given LSD, subjected to electric shocks, hypnotized, and even held in inhumane conditions to study their reactions. All in an effort to control the human mind, an ambition that made a mockery of ethics and law. Some committed suicide after the experiments. Some were left permanently mentally ill. When the documents were leaked and investigations broke out in the 1970s, the CIA was forced to admit it. But most of the documents were deliberately destroyed, which means we will never know the full extent of what MKUltra did. 5. Repression of the civil rights movement. When power fears change. In the 1960s, America witnessed a strong wave of struggles for equality. The Black Civil Rights Movement, the anti-war movement, and other social advocacy groups. And the U.S. government, through the FBI, secretly carried out a systematic campaign of repression called CONTLPRO. The goal of this program was to neutralize groups that were considered a threat to the existing order. The FBI monitored, planted spies, created false information, even sowed internal divisions and incited violence. Martin Luther King Jr., who was admired by the whole world, once received an anonymous letter from the FBI advising him to commit suicide before being exposed. Organizations like the Black Panthers were framed, slandered, and many leaders were assassinated without any clear explanation. In the name of national security, those who demand justice are treated as enemies. And America, the land of free speech, has silenced its own citizens in the most brutal way. 6. Monsanto and the global chemical game. If you have ever eaten corn, soybeans, or any processed industrial product in the U.S., chances are you have consumed products from Monsanto, one of the most controversial corporations in the world. Monsanto is famous for producing the herbicide Roundup, containing the active ingredient glyphosate, and genetically modified seeds, GMOs. The problem is not the technology, but the way they manipulate the entire global food supply chain. They patent their seeds, forcing farmers to buy new seeds every season. Many have been sued just because the wind blew Monsanto seeds onto their fields. Farmers who resisted went bankrupt or were taken to court. Worse, glyphosate has been linked to cancer, endocrine disruption, and environmental harm by numerous independent studies. But Monsanto has spent hundreds of millions of dollars lobbying, dominating scientific research, and has been accused of falsifying data. For a long time, these concerns were quashed. But more and more lawsuits have been won, with U.S. courts ordering Monsanto to pay billions of dollars in damages for causing cancer. And yet their products are still being sold every day. End of part 2. From CIA labs to farmers' fields, from the civil rights movement to our daily meals, America has secrets that are not easy to see. We're not done yet. In the final part, we will enter the most dangerous gray area, where financial, political, and technological interests intersect, the conspiracies of big corporations, the truth behind financial crises, and the things that the whole world may be being led to do without knowing. Are you ready to get to the bottom of the truth? Let's go. Topic: 10 Dark Secrets of America That Few Dare to Mention. Part 3. When Money and Power Determine the Fate of the Majority. Parts 1 and 2 have exposed the dark corners behind the glamorous appearance of America, from inhumane experiments, war lies, to mind control and suppression of freedom. But deeper, there is another secret layer, cold, brazen, and calculating. That is when money and power not only control policy, but also manipulate the perception, lifestyle, and future of millions of people. The final part is the darkest chapter, which many people know, but few dare to speak out. 7. The 2008 financial crisis, a crime without a cure. In 2008, the U.S. economy and the world fell into a serious financial crisis. Millions of people lost their homes, lost their jobs, and lost their entire life assets. But few people know that it all started with the greed of Wall Street and the complicity of large financial institutions. U.S. banks issued a series of high-risk mortgage loans, then packaged them into complex financial products and sold them to the market as if they were pure gold. And credit rating agencies, the places that should have warned of risks, assisted with fake assessments. When the bubble burst, millions of families fell into bankruptcy. But the people who caused the crisis? No one went to jail. Many of them were even saved by taxpayers' money. One of the most shameless cases of evading responsibility. The cheapest in modern history, and proof that if you're rich and powerful enough, you can get away with it. 8. Big Pharma and the opioid crisis. For years, America has been plagued by a silent but devastating crisis. Hundreds of thousands of people have died from the abuse of opioid painkillers, powerful narcotics. It seems like the result of improper use of drugs. But in fact, this crisis was fueled by giant pharmaceutical corporations, typically Purdue Pharma, the manufacturer of OxyContin. They knew their drugs were addictive. They knew thousands of doctors were prescribing them indiscriminately. But instead of warning them, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars promoting that their drugs were safe and non-addictive when used properly. As a result, millions of people became addicted, not to heroin or cocaine, but to prescription drugs from hospitals. An entire generation was destroyed by the greed of a few pharmaceutical corporations, backed by lawyers, politicians, and sophisticated media campaigns. To this day, the opioid crisis is far from over. Many people die silently every day, but those who started it still live comfortably in mansions and stocks. 9. Technology, data, and hidden control. The world praises America as the center of technology. Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple, all symbols of progress. But along with that development comes an unprecedented form of control, where users are the product. Every day, every click, every search, every few seconds spent on an article is collected, analyzed, and stored. From there, your behavior, emotions, even political leanings are predicted, directed, and manipulated. The Cambridge Analytica scandal is a clear demonstration. Tens of millions of Facebook users' data were illegally collected to serve election campaigns, change public opinion, and divide society. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In the US and the world, you don't need to be eavesdropped on through a microphone. As long as your data is manipulated cleverly enough, you will think what they want you to think. 10. Two-faced politics, when democracy is just a shell. The U.S. is still considered a model of democracy. But in fact, many political researchers have pointed out the U.S. political system does not represent the will of the people, but is largely dominated by interest groups and campaign donors. To put it bluntly, you can't run for office without money. And whoever provides the money has a say in policy. Large corporations pour billions of dollars into election campaigns, lobbying, and secretly control national decisions. The result is laws that favor the rich, policies that protect big business, while workers, the poor, minorities, still struggle every day. Democracy, yes, but only within the limits of financial power. Conclusion: the truth does not destroy our faith, it only makes us more sober. Every country has a dark side, but America, as a superpower, possesses secrets that can shape the world. Knowing the truth does not mean denying everything. It means seeing more clearly, understanding more deeply, and living more soberly in a world full of manipulation and direction. Maybe what you just heard startled you. Maybe at times you wondered, is anything real? But at least you have stepped through the fog. And sometimes that is the most important thing.